Welcome to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. We're recording today from the Advisors Mortgage Group studio right here in downtown Carmel. And I'm Rick Ripma, your hardworking mortgage guy. I've been in the mortgage business and new home sales for over 34 years. I've helped over 5,200 folks finance their homes. My team and I believe in custom tailored loans, not the one-size-fits-all approach. We believe there is a right mortgage for you, and we believe we are the team to deliver it.
And I'm Ian Arnold, part of Rick's hardworking mortgage team. I've been in the financial industry for 15 years, helping customers rebuild their credit to get the best interest rates for them. I've also have a passion in helping you secure your overall future through your real estate endeavors. Contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help you.
Yep. And as we get started today, if you have any questions on mortgages or the Indy's real estate market, please go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938. And we're really excited today to have Mark Gill. Mark's, you're a big producer. You have your own team. You have your own company.
I do.
Yeah.
Hallmark, we go by the Hallmark team. It's Hallmark Real Estate Services. It's me and two other agents. My wife is also on the team. So it's me, Lexi, and Jamie are the agents, and my wife is, I don't know, she's the COO, CIO, CFO.
The boss.
She's the boss.
That's what we call our wife.
Yeah, she manages our transactions. She helps us with the books. She takes care of the database and all that good stuff. And
awesome.
Wouldn't be here without her. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So before real estate, what was your life like before real estate? Where'd you grow up? Those type of things.
So I was born and raised on the east side of Indianapolis. Went to Scecina High School. Graduated in '95. Played football in college for a couple of years. Decided that wasn't for me, so entered the workforce. Met my wife while I was managing a lumber yard. Shortly after that, I got into insurance. I was in life and health insurance for a few years. And then she and I worked together at an international insurance company not far from here, actually, Seven Corners. She was there for 20 years, and I was there for about 13. Was in the sales side of that for 10 years or so, and then I moved into the corporate strategy side, where I really learned how a business should be run and how corporate strategy should be done. Had a couple of great mentors there. 2017, that's when our youngest got her full ride to college, and we decided to make some transitions. My wife got her MBA, and to April of 2000, actually, about 5 years ago, I made the transition into real estate.
Awesome. And so you got into real estate. How did you make that transition? Why did you make the transition? Why did you decide on real estate? And then also, how did you get your business going? Because that can always be a struggle.
So the reason I chose real estate, a friend of mine who is actually my best friend, who's a general contractor, had been urging me to get into real estate for years. And this is going to be, I'll try to make it short as possible. But when I decided to make the transition, I did some research to find out what I wanted to do. I'd always told the owner of Seven Corners if I ever left, I would never work for anyone again. I wanted to start my own thing. So I did some research into real estate, and I realized that there was a gap I could fill. A lot of the agents are transactional. As a matter of fact, I found out that realtors are the fourth least structured profession in the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I read that in a Forbes article from about 2016. And the reason is because the National Association of Realtors, the number one complaint then was that after the transaction, clients never heard from their agent again. Well, that told me that a lot of agents were approaching this as a transactional business. And my passion in life is to help people improve their lives. I'm a mentor for big brothers and big sisters. I coach football. So I'm always trying to help people get better. You can ask my agents. That's one of the things I talk about the most is personal development. So I realized that there was a gap I could fill there because, from my opinion, we are helping people with some of the largest financial decisions that they're going to make in their life. They're going to sink 6 or 7 figures into a single piece of real estate. And they're going to take on the largest single debt that most people incur. And I feel like we should approach this like a relationship business, like a personal accountant or a financial planner. And that's how I approach the business. So I'm very relationship driven, not just in real estate, but in my whole life. So that's the gap I could fill here. Instead of being transactional, I'll be relationship driven. And it's worked out well.
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, it has. We can tell by the numbers it's worked out well.
So that's why I chose real estate, was because it fit my passion. I could do what I love to do in my community and help the people in my community, and there was a gap that I could fill.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you. The big difference we see between the gurus and there's regular real estate agents is the relationship. They understand that it's not just about one transaction. It's basically, as you call them, the car salesman. It's not sell one, all right, jump to the next person. It's all right, you can keep maturing it because you never know what, I think 5 to 10 years, someone's going to be looking for another house, whether it's upsizing or downsizing or just moving for job wise. I mean, keep in touch with them. Then they have family members. If you keep in contact, you will continue getting them. So when you first started, what was your biggest struggle, do you think?
Oh, my biggest struggle was probably learning the real estate process, the transaction. I had a fairly large sphere, so I had a fairly large group of people to pull from.
Right.
I had some knowledge about how to market myself. Obviously, I'm still working on that, but I could get myself out there. That's not something that I've ever lacked. I can get out and talk to people. But learning the transaction itself, once I got that down, and then I started pulling in referrals, the rest is history. I did fairly well my first and second year, and I did have building my own business plan for the first time. I'd built a few, but for other endeavors,
Right.
Building my own was kind of a challenge.
Now, did you do things when you were getting going that you really didn't like doing, but they were necessary to do that you don't necessarily have to do today?
Well, it's funny you ask that because I don't know if you're I'm not a details person.
Okay.
I'm an idea guy. I guess in the Strength Finders, I'm called an influencer. So the monotony of the paperwork, the details involved in each transaction when it comes to the title company, and the lenders sometimes, was not my strength. Hence, in 2019, I looked at my wife, who really likes the details and is very process driven. I said, "Hey, want to come on board and help me out?" So that's what I really struggled with in the beginning, was making sure that our office manager had all the paperwork she needed when the transaction was going on and closed, and making sure the title company got everything they needed, and the lender had everything they needed. The details is where I needed some help.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of us that need that help in that area. A lot of salespeople who, we tend to be outgoing,
Exactly.
people, and that's not detail. Now, you said you're coaching football. Where do you coach, and
Well,
tell us about
I
that?
don't anymore. It got very difficult to do the busier I got, but I coached 5th and 6th grade football at my church in Nativity. And I was there for, I think I coached 3 years, and loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I actually stepped away last year because I realized I expected my kids to be there every practice, 100% of the time, and give me 100% effort. And I found that I couldn't make that commitment because I might have to show a house, or I might have a listing appointment. So there were practices that I was missing because of my job. And I told them on my last day, I said, "I'm leaving because I can't give you what I expect from you." And
it's a great lesson.
Yeah.
Whoa. You could have easily took them to the house. They could have been doing up, downs, or whatnot while you're showing a house.
Don't mind the kids in your front yard. Doing a listing appointment.
See, Ian's a problem solver. Should have called him. He'd have told you how to handle that problem.
Right.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think, if you can't do it and that's what you expect, you did the right thing. Now, do you still do, I know you were doing Big Brothers, Big Sisters, still do that?
Yes. I've been with my little for, let's see, he was 11 when we met, and he is 17 now, so 6 years. He's been my little brother, and it's been fun to help him grow and develop over the years. He's going to graduate next year, so I tell people it's probably the most fulfilling thing outside of being a parent that I've done. So
not going to.
By the way, they're trying to recruit. There are 1,400 kids out there waiting for bigs, and 75% of them are guys or are boys waiting for men. So if you're interested, hit me up. I'm glad.
Awesome. All right. So to touch on that, what I was going to, what does that consist of for people who are intrigued by it?
So you're matched. So it's a very intense onboarding, and they match you with someone that they think that you can have the most influence with based on your personality and your background and where you came from and where they came from. And you're matched with essentially underprivileged kids who need a mentor to get through life. They're either missing a parent, or a parent died, or they're in special circumstances where they just need an outside mentor, somebody to lean on and help develop. I don't know how much I should divulge, but some of these kids don't realize the size of the opportunities that the world has to offer, because they're dealing with the day-to-day hectic life that they live. So somebody like us, we can help them realize how much bigger their opportunities are in the world and how to get there. So that's what I find fulfilling about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we see that on a different scale. So, for instance, first-time home buyers, especially the ones in their first family, they don't understand all the nuances of what comes with buying a home. Or later on, 5-6 years, when they see the appreciation, they're like, wait, I have technically this much equity, and they don't understand it. So it's similar, like if somebody's not used to something and you show them something, like you were saying, is with kids that have never seen the other side of a railroad tracks. All right, well, let's show them that. I mean, same thing with first-time home buyers. We see that.
You're seeing a through line with everything that I do. First-time home buyers are I love first-time home buyers, especially those who never thought they could buy. And it's not just, you'd be surprised how many people have never thought they could buy a house.
Right.
Yep.
And when you open their eyes to the fact that it's really not that hard, and actually it's very advantageous, the number one indicator on whether somebody's going to be able to build wealth is whether or not they own a home. So once you show them that and show them how easy it is to own their own home, that's very fulfilling too. It's very similar. You're right.
So stop. I got to get this closer. I'm having real trouble with your sound. Yeah. Let's turn it this way.
Okay. Maybe that was a problem.
It only does it from here. It's okay, but it would be, I could use a little better sound. Okay. So
All right. I'll ask a question
when I did that so I can fix this.
Yep.
I'm claustrophobic, so I gotta
Oh no, you're all right.
Sorry. Yeah, or you can talk louder if you want. That'll and get a little farther. But I'll just show you. There you are when you work. This is you. Okay. Here's me. Here's Ian. But you can see this is where a lot of your talking is. This is like that's you talking, and that's really low. And I pulled you up as much as I could here. So I just need a little more volume.
Okay, I can do that.
And then we'll be fine.
You're the first person in a while that's told me I need to be louder.
The thing is you like the latest you were doing good, but here's your later one.
That's good.
And that's much better. Yeah, because I can fix that. I can do. If it's too low, it's going to be hard to pull it out because I'll edit this line and get it louder. But I just want to make sure that we're all about the same, and I'll lower ours. I just want to make sure we're about the same. So you're going to ask a question.
Yep. Ready?
Now.
All right. So if somebody wants to get in contact with you to either talk about buying or selling a home or even the Big Brother program, how would they get a hold of you?
The two easiest ways are either text or phone, which is 317-716-0137. 317-716-0137, or by email. That's mark@Hallmark. That's HALLMARK, res.com.
All right. And Rick, how would they get a hold of you or I?
To get a hold of us, you just go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. You can contact Ian or I from there, get all our contact information, or you can call 317-672-1938. I was doing so well. 317-672-1938.
Now let's see if he can still do well, because I'm still waiting.
Yeah, well, I forget this every single time, so there you go. Thanks for listening to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. The gurus we interview share valuable insights. They reveal their strengths, personalities, and how they'll work for you. While a hardworking mortgage guys secure your best mortgage, real estate gurus work hard too. They avoid problems the amateurs just don't see. They listen and they find unrealized opportunities. If you're buying or selling a home, a real estate guru is a valuable asset. If you're even thinking of buying or selling a home, keep listening and definitely call one of Indy's real estate gurus.
All right, Mark. So let's say I got to take away your phone and you can't do any work for a day. What would we find you doing?
Playing golf,
All
Yeah,
right.
I play golf.
So what's your favorite course around here?
I'm a member of the Legends down in Franklin, Indiana.
Okay.
So I've played there a few hundred times.
He knows the whole well. All I would know is the hazards.
That's my hobby.
Okay. Are you even par or how?
Not even close.
No.
My daughter routinely beats my butt. So.
Yeah, but she's a collegiate golfer, you said.
She is, yes. Yeah, she actually played her in the last tournament this last weekend.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How'd she do?
She did all right. It wasn't. They didn't have the greatest weather. I think she finished middle of the pack. It was conference, so she finished middle of the pack.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But that has to be fun for a golfer to have a daughter who's a golfer and
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
college.
I mean, when you're out there with her and she's just beating you down, it can be a little demoralizing. But no, it's fun. It's fun playing with her.
Well, that's most fathers give up as soon as a kid beats them that first time. They're like, "Yep, I'm done walking off." But you kept going. So.
I did, and that's something that I'll be able to do with her.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, he has character.
Yes.
He's stuck with it.
Or maybe he just likes being beat down. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we don't know that answer. Do we? We don't know that answer at all.
So I like to. Rick has a question he loves to ask. So I'm gonna have him ask that.
Already? You're going to let me ask that?
I'm
He
gonna let
doesn't
you do
normally
it.
give me this kind of leeway.
Okay.
So what is your superpower or superpowers?
That's a good question. My superpower is almost certainly my ability to connect. I'm able to connect with people quickly and make them feel comfortable with me and with the situation. That goes back to the first-time home buyers thing. A lot of times they're nervous to start out with, and I just have a way of putting them at ease and helping them understand the process and what's happening to them. And even in general, just in public in general, I can put people at ease to get to know them and get to know me.
It's kind of invaluable. It's a great superpower, and it's invaluable in what we do, but it's even in life.
Well, and what I've found is that most people, their superpower, they don't know that it's a superpower. They don't understand that they have a gift or a talent. They just think that's just who I am.
Right.
And it took me a long time to realize that was my superpower, was to be able to just walk up to people and put them at ease.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And how does that help in real estate for you?
Well, it helps because a lot of people expect us to be salesy type people. You mentioned used car salesman, which, by the way, was right above where we ranked on the Forbes list.
Well, hold on. Rick and I both came from car sales into this, so guys, we at least went up a rung.
I was in insurance, and insurance is below car sales. So it helps because they expect me to come in with a very salesy mentality. I'm not. I'm a very consultative person. And I've actually told buyers it's not the right time for you to buy. We need to work on some things, or you're not going to be here. I've had one guy that wanted to buy. He said, "I only want to own this for a year and a half, and then I'm going to move to Hawaii." I'm like, "Then why are you buying?"
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's the ability to become consultative, and they very quickly learn that I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to make sure that we do the best for you.
Right. Because that's really what matters.
That's what matters.
And it's all that, in order to have a long time in a business as a salesperson, the ones they show us, the salespeople they portray on TV or movies, are not the type of salespeople that I've ever seen last long term in any high dollar type sale.
Exactly. Yeah.
You might be able to last long term selling pens or pencils to somebody on the street by forcing them to buy it, but I've never seen it work. Especially even in car sales, the guys who sold like they show you on TV, they never do that well.
No,
they don't. They're never the top people, but that's what they want to portray salespeople as.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is the best salespeople do what you do. That's why you're one of the top. You're a guru because you understand you're there to take care of the customer. The money will take care of itself, so you never have to worry about the money. You never have to worry about what your commission is. In fact, if that's all you're worried about, you're not going to do well. So you have to be there taking care of the customer, and then everything else takes care of itself, correct?
Absolutely. That is exactly the way I approach it. And that's the way I tell my agents to approach it. Don't worry about the money. If you take care of that, it will come. And as a matter of fact, I have had people where we did not execute a transaction, and I've got referrals from them. Because I told them either it's not the right time to buy, it's not the right time to sell, for whatever reason. We did not execute a transaction, and I've gotten referrals from them because I was honest with them and I didn't try to push them into something that was detrimental to them.
Yeah, I guess nothing sells better than honesty.
Absolutely. That's correct.
Nothing sells better than honesty. The only thing I would say different and not in a negative way is I have seen salespeople who have no conscience.
I have too.
And they can be very persuasive because they will tell you anything you want to hear. They won't be honest at all. And they will tell people whatever they want to hear. And you believe them because they're just great liars. And I think that's what gives our industries and sales a bad name.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've actually been in transactions with people like that. And I've also had clients come to me who've had that experience. And those, this is not going to sound good, but they're almost like puppies who have been beaten and they're afraid to talk to you because their previous experience. You know, like, I can think of one recently where they were sold this house and they were told that it was great and they moved in and it wasn't great. Like everything on the inspection that they told them to ignore, they should not have ignored. And when I came in to help them try to sell it, they were very suspicious of me. And it took me a little bit longer than normal to break that barrier.
Yeah.
And you're right. Those people are very detrimental to our profession.
I think they look at it like I look at politicians. If I'm talking to a politician, I don't trust anything coming out of their mouth.
Well, you know what? Interestingly, that profession wasn't on the list.
It didn't even make it?
I didn't see it. It wasn't on there. I don't know if they considered it a profession or not.
Well, let's be honest. Most people don't work directly with a politician. So
Right.
But I will say this is because when my wife and I bought our house, we went through several other houses and it caught us off guard when we walked into one house. A realtor walked around with us and she goes, "Let's just go. You don't want this house." And I was like, "Did you just say I don't want this house?" I'm not used to this. And then it made me ask questions. Why do you say that? And so, but it was nice to hear it wasn't just about the commission. Absolutely. It was about finding us the right house for us.
Yes. And I've talked to people out of buying houses because of structural issues or mechanical issues or mold. I've found, and I'm not a professional, but I know it when I see it. The wet crawl spaces. I'm like, depending on their financial situation, one in particular, it was a rehab, and the rehab was done really well. The workmanship was great, but when I went in the basement, there was a crack along the north wall from corner to corner, and they had waterproofed the basement, so there was paint on the wall, waterproof paint, and the paint had separated, so that wall was actively moving. They loved the house, wanted to make an offer, and I said, "Do you see this problem? Probably going to be a roughly $20,000 fix, give or take $5,000." And we walked away from it. They ended up buying a house 2 weeks later down the street in the area they wanted. But that house they really wanted, I told them, in the market we were in, the seller's not going to fix it, and you're not in the financial position to be able to fix it. So let's just go find one that doesn't have a foundation wall that's moving.
And the nice thing, even if they fell in love with that house, is they'll forget about it 3 or 4 weeks later once they moved in and everything like that. You forget about that.
Well, the house we found them was better anyway.
Oh, see, that works out.
They always are.
Yeah.
They always are.
They were. Yeah, it always is.
That was through that time, and I'm sure you had the same issue. We'd have people, and they would, I kept doing new pre-approval letters because you needed brand new pre-approval letters. You didn't want them to be old. You wanted them to be fresh, dated, all that. And, the 4th or 5th or 6th or 12th time they'd call, and you could tell they were really, really getting aggravated with the whole situation. And I kept, I tell them, listen, this is like, there's a country song, and I wish I remembered who it was, and I've never been able to find it, maybe in my dreams, but it's this guy, he's talking about all the girls that he dated and thanking them for dumping him, because without that, he would have never found his wife, which was the perfect person for him. Mm-hmm. And that is the same way with the houses. You think it's the right house, and then you don't get it. And then you think the next one is the house they end up getting. I have yet to have somebody say, "No, I wish I had gotten the other house." Maybe it happens, but the vast majority of people, the house they end up with is actually the house they should have ended up with.
Yeah, and in the last few years, it was challenging. The biggest part, the biggest thing that comes up every time I talk about our industry, regardless of the market, but especially the last few years, is managing your clients' expectations. When you're going into that home buying process the last few years, you have to warn them up front. We may make a few offers and not get it. We're going to learn how best to position your pre-approval letter as we go, depending on the house you're looking at, et cetera. But we may not get the first 3, 4, 5 that we make an offer on, and that's okay. We will find the house for you, and eventually the one we find will be the right one. Like you said,
Exactly.
it always is.
Always is. Yeah. It's remarkable. It's interesting that you see it too. It's just like, yeah, that's the right house. They're always happier with the house they got, and it just works out. So,
but one thing I didn't want them to do, and I talked a lot, even with me prepping them, they would be like, "Yeah, this house, let's make an offer." I'm like, "How do you feel about it? It'll work." That's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for it'll work. Is this a house that you like, that you can see yourself in for as long as you want to be in?
Right.
And when they would say, "Well," I'm like, "Okay, then no, we can be patient here. I know the market's moving at 100,000 miles an hour, but we don't have to."
Right. Yeah. Get aggressive on the house you really want.
Right.
When you find the house, you go, yeah, this is it. This is what I want.
And you'll know. I mean, you've been in business too. You know when you walk into that house, and you can see it in their eyes. You can hear it in their voices that they're really excited about the house. And as long as it checks out structurally and mechanically, let's get aggressive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's patience. So you're speaking my language because I have none.
That is true.
So I do understand. It's at times you just have to let it happen, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it's a huge value. I think it may be one of your other superpowers, because it's a huge value to somebody like me, to somebody like you, when I'm in a process like that, going, okay, it's okay. Slow down. If it's not perfect. I had an agent tell me on the show, she goes, I make the buyer sell me the house.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
I don't let them just buy the house, and I don't try to sell it to them. If they want the house, they need to sell me on why they want this house.
Exactly. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. I've never thought of it that way. That's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And it's I wouldn't call it. I guess it is a superpower. It could just come from 15 years of being a consultative salesperson. I can't project my clients' emotions, but I also have to be able to interpret their emotions. And in that market, when things are moving so fast, a lot of times their emotion was, "Oh my gosh, if we don't find a house, we're never going to." And you have to not project that. You could get on that train and be like, "Okay, then let's make an offer on every house." Or you could say, "I understand your anxiety. I get it, but I don't think this is the one."
Right.
And for X, Y, and Z reasons.
Yeah.
You said you wanted 4 bedrooms. This one has 3. You said you wanted an office. This one doesn't have one. And point out the reasons why it doesn't fit. And eventually they'll come off of that anxiety train and be like, "You know what, you're right."
Yeah. Well, you have a very calming personality.
Thank you.
So
no one ever knows when.
But here's the thing: I think that's extremely important in a real estate agent anyway, because there's so much emotion when you're buying or selling a house. It's really helpful. But it's just, and when you have somebody with your personality, it just, you naturally, your anxiety kind of goes away a little bit comparative to what it would be if you had an agent who was like super high strung. Which can also be successful.
Projecting your emotion.
Yes.
I've seen a lot of salespeople who are really good at doing that, and the reason they're good salespeople is because they can match and mirror the emotion and personality of their clients.
Yes.
That doesn't necessarily make them knowledgeable. It just makes them, people like people who are like them, right?
Yes.
So the salespeople who are good at mimicking, matching, and mirroring their emotions, which I think is important when you're first creating a bond.
Yes.
But when you're actually trying to help someone with a large financial decision like this, you need to be able to separate yourself from that emotion, understand what emotions they are having, and then make sure they're making the right decision.
Yes.
All right, then. So how would somebody get in contact with you if they want to buy or sell a home?
Easiest way is to give me a call or shoot me a text at 317-716-0137, 716-0137, or you can send me an email at mark.gill@hallmarkres.com. That's mark.gill at hallmarkres.com.
And to get a hold of Ian or I, go to hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. Or you can call us at 317-672-1938. Got it that time. 317-672-1938.
All right, so now I think we'll do question of the week. The question of the week is sponsored by, Rick and I, the Hardworking Mortgage Guys, where we feel and believe in helping you and supporting you and your realtor by sending constant updates throughout the whole entire loan process. Nobody likes to be left in the black hole, so we don't allow it. There are no black holes here at Advisors Mortgage and with the Hardworking Mortgage Guys. All right, so here's a hard question for you. What was your first car?
It was a 1971 Mercury Montego. Had 60,000 actual miles on
Wow.
it. Yeah.
In today's terms, that's like 180 though. On a new car.
Well, yeah.
But still, that's a great car.
Yeah. So it was basically a 4-door.
Yeah. It's
GTO.
nice and big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 4-door GTO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice.
What kind of motor?
351.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Small block.
Was it a
4-barrel carburetor.
Okay.
It would go.
That's the key, right?
Yeah.
As big as they were, they still
Yeah.
put some motor in there with plenty of torque and plenty of horsepower.
It was underestimated because it wasn't as sleek looking as the 2-door GTO, but it still had the same engine in it. So.
Yeah.
And then he could put as many girls in the back as he wanted.
Oh, you could throw a party back there. It was a tank.
Yeah. He probably didn't put them in the back though. When he was driving. They were
Hey, there's multiple seats, sir. All right. So what would you consider one of your more memorable deals?
I'm going to go ahead and say it. So I had a single mother move here from California. She was referred to me by a previous client, and she was escaping a really bad situation. And the friend had talked her into calling me because she said, you make good money. You probably have good credit. You could probably afford a house. And she never thought she could. Fast forward, we go through the process. We find her a solid house, and we all cried at the closing table. It was an emotional experience. That was one of my favorites. I've had several kind of like that one, but whenever somebody asks me that question, she always jumps to mind because it was a dream fulfilled. That's pretty awesome. And every time that happens, there's been more than that, but that one was probably the most emotional. There have been several emotional ones, but that one was probably my favorite.
Yeah. To go along with that, if somebody's looking to buy a house, they don't think they can buy a house. It's not rocket science. You got to have
it's not
right, but that's why I want to. We look at your income. So have a job, have a good job, and have been on a little while, or at least had jobs for a while. We look at your assets. Do you have the down payment or whatever money's needed for closing, total closing? Down payment is only a part of what you totally need for closing. And then how about credit? We got to look at the credit. That's really all. Now, I'm not saying that everything's easy, but that's the three things, the major three things we're going to look at. If you've got good credit, you got a good job, and you have money for down payment, it is highly likely you can buy a house.
It is, and a lot of people overestimate how much they need for that down payment.
Yes.
You can speak to that. There's 3% down conventional options.
Right.
And 3%,
And
if you got a good job, it's not hard to come up with in a year or two.
And if you don't earn too much money, you can use Indiana Housing and you can have 100% financing because I'll give you the 3% down. There are some requirements around that. I can't talk about all that. You can, if you're out in the rural area, you can use a rural housing, USDA. So or if you're a veteran, you can use 100% financing through VA. So it's the best thing to do if you think you want to buy a house is to call us, right?
Either me or you.
Yeah.
I don't care who you call first.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. That's fine.
But you got to call
I'd rather
somebody.
they call me first. I prefer you guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pre-approval, we all know that's the first option. Just the first step. Just see where you are. What can you afford? What are you comfortable with? Because I have had clients that get pre-approved for much more than they could afford. So find out where you are on that spectrum, and then get with your agent, and we can give you the rest of the deal. I'll walk you through the process. I always tell people that my mission is to make sure that you understand the process, you're comfortable with what's happening to you, and you're thrilled with the results. Those are the three things I want to accomplish.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I just think people, because you brought it up, you kept, and we hadn't really talked about it, but if you don't think you can buy a house, don't decide not to without talking to somebody who can actually help you. Right. And it might be you can't, but almost everybody, we can figure out a way to either finance them today or get them to where we can finance them.
I've worked with someone for up to the longest is 2 years. I've worked with someone, the lender and I worked with them for 2 years to get them to where they could buy, and it happened.
Because you're willing to take the time because you care.
I do.
Right.
And I tell all of the people who I've gone through that process with, as long as you're willing to put in the work, so will I. If you continue to work with Rick or whoever it may be to get your credit where it needs to be, get your down payment saved up, if you're willing to put in that work, I will too. I'll be right there with you.
Yep.
And what does it hurt? Let's be honest. The worst answer, like I tell my kids, you ask for something. The worst thing I'm going to do is tell you no. then I'm going to have to, if it's no, I'll tell you the reason, usually why. But we can walk you through, like you said, the steps. Because if you don't know the steps, the answer is always going to be no.
Exactly.
So
My wife hates that about me. I'm always like, well, let's ask. And she's like, "Yeah. What if they say no?" I'm like, then they say no.
yep.
Right. Yeah. And you move on. Right? Yeah. And sometimes somebody says no and somebody else says yes. So you know, you just want to make sure you're working with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about. It's why we think everybody should work with a guru agent or an agent who has a guru as a mentor.
Yes.
You know, if you have somebody, then they can help you too, because they'll have good, like you have a team. Those people, they're great to work with because they have you. If there's any issues, you're there too.
Well, that's the toughest nut that I've found to crack in the industry is that you and I tend to get commoditized. People don't know a lot about the real estate market, and they just think any old agent will work or any old loan officer will work, and that's not the case. They don't, sellers don't really understand how to evaluate their properties, and you and I know that there are some online tools that throw that way out of whack, but they just don't know. And when people don't know something, they tend to commoditize it.
Yes.
And that's something that you and I both have to overcome in our
Yes.
professions.
Well, in your profession, so think as a real estate agent, how much money does somebody lose when they call somebody on a sign and says, "We buy homes"?
You're going to make me say this. Okay.
You don't have to say a number.
I've actually seen this. I actually did a video on this on my Facebook page. I saw that one of those companies had purchased this house. They waited 90 days to relist it because you know that they have to wait 90 days to be able to accept FHA offers.
Right.
They didn't do a thing to it. They hadn't even cleaned it. There were still dried up food on the countertops and cobwebs in the corners. They hadn't touched this house, and they relisted it for $50,000 more than they bought it for. $300,000 house. They bought it for $300,000. They listed it for $350,000. It's sold in 3 days. And in my eyes, they stole $50,000 from somebody. And people will say, well, they saved the commission. The commission on that would have been like 10. You lost $50,000 to save yourself 10. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I always tell people, be very careful when you hear somebody say they're going to buy your house and they won't have any inspections or appraisals done. Well, who would buy a house not knowing what it's worth unless they know they're getting a deal?
Right. And yeah. And I think most of them have a pretty good idea that what kind of work needs to be done, that kind of thing. So yeah, I just think it's one of those. I'm sure there's a reason somebody is in a hurry, and that's but you're giving up a lot of money. You just got to know you're giving up a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, it can be. It's very It's a painless transaction.
Yes.
I guarantee you that, but I can also guarantee you're probably leaving some equity on the table.
Yeah. So, what about social media? Do you do much in social media?
I do. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not on Twitter a whole lot, but Facebook and Instagram are my big ones. LinkedIn. I do some on LinkedIn. We haven't had a cohesive plan social media wise yet, but we are developing that. And my agents and I, Lexi and Jamie, and myself will be on social media more in the upcoming year. When I got in and things took off, it kind of fell to the back burner. Now we do it where if you go to my Facebook page, you'll see me on my personal page and my business page a lot. But it's not really a coordinated information sharing plan yet, but it's in development.
Right.
So let me ask this. Why are you going more into social media? Is there a certain thing that you think that'll work, or I'm just curious?
By and large, social media is still a largely untapped, free source of marketing for agents. All you have to do is have the courage to post something or get in front of a camera like we're doing now, and post it on Instagram or Facebook. You got to know the rules. I think there's some time limits on Instagram, but YouTube. We're going to go on YouTube, do these kind of things on YouTube, informational videos, interviews with people. It's free. So why not take advantage of that, get your name out there, show people what you know.
Right. Yeah. I think it's amazing. You get some agents who are very successful and all they do is social media. That's where they get everybody. There's other agents that are extremely successful and they don't do any social media.
Yeah, to each their own.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things that I told my agents when they first got in the business. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like drinking from a fire hose. Yes. There were so many different tools you could use, so many different ways to market and prospect. And I do make a distinction. Marketing is different than prospecting. And there's so many things you can do. What you have to do is be able to pick up Okay, does this fit my personality?
Right.
Okay, then I'll look into this.
Yes.
Does this fit my personality? No. It's very easy to get distracted by shiny objects.
Yes.
So that's what I try to minimize.
Yeah.
All right. Do not wear shiny objects
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
go show
It's
Arnold
not
to Mark.
real shiny objects, but you understand exactly what he's saying, because we are bombarded with, oh, get these leads. These are great leads. These are this, and it's, you can go off and you just spend a lot of money and you don't get anything out of most of what the shiny objects, right?
Yeah, yeah. If you don't know how to leverage something, or you don't feel comfortable leveraging something, there's something else out there that you will. So just put that aside and go to that. Go to what suits you.
Yeah. So talk about your team. What does your team make up? What does it look like?
So there's me and two other agents. Jamie Beller, she's been in the business for I think 3 years now, and Lexi Sullivan. She is just over a year in the business. Taught them everything they know. And then my wife, as I mentioned, she is our transaction manager. She's our COO, CFO. She makes sure the wheels keep turning.
Yeah.
And we go out there and make sure the deals keep coming in. But yeah, and we all do this. So we're all buyers and sellers agents. We do everything because I don't want to limit my agents. I'm into, just like in my real estate, just with my clients, my agents, I want to make sure that they build their businesses too,
Right.
and build their presence because they are unique individuals. So I'm helping them build their businesses. We're probably going to hire a couple more agents in the upcoming year or two. So,
well, one thing we've learned, if somebody's thinking of getting into real estate or they've gotten into it and they're struggling, the number one thing they can do is get on a strong team.
A strong team. Yes.
Number one thing you can do.
Yeah.
I don't know how many agents we've talked to that have said, I wouldn't have made it. I was struggling and I got on a great team, and that's the only reason I'm here today, is because I got on a great team. And a great team means you have a great mentor.
Ideally.
Yeah. Right?
No, yeah, that's absolutely true. You need somebody who is a strong team lead. I don't follow the money. Don't look at the percentages. Look at the person. What are you getting? Are you getting sales training? Are you getting personal development training? Are you getting business strategy training? All of that? If it's just, hey, come in and I'll give you leads and I'll pay you 90%. What else are you getting? Are they teaching you how to develop your business? Are they teaching you how to develop personally? Are they teaching you how? Have you ever been in sales before? I mean, a lot of people haven't. A lot of people come into this industry never having been in sales before.
Right.
I provide sales training, how to talk to people, how to sell them without sounding like a plaid jacket.
Right.
How to actually be a consultative salesperson.
Right. Yeah, because it's critical, and I know we've noticed there's a tremendous amount of agents that came from teaching.
Teaching, yeah.
Here's the number one career move into real estate. I read that somewhere, but we had already noticed it. We knew that was the case. And then we also noticed that most great real estate salespeople I'll call it a teacher's heart, probably not the right thing, but teachers tend to be caring, and they listen, and they want to explain things and get people to understand them. And that seems to make a great real estate agent.
That nurturing attitude is very helpful.
There you go.
Yeah.
So he has a better word than I do.
Yeah, the nurturing attitude is very helpful when you're dealing, because it is an emotional transaction. It's cars can be too, I suppose, but not nearly as much.
No, not anywhere close.
Yeah, so having the ability to, like I said earlier, having the ability to see the emotion, understand it, but not project it. And that's what teachers are really good at.
Yes.
I mean, could you imagine if a teacher projected emotion every time a kid got upset?
Oh.
They just start throwing a fit too. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, heck of a class for
Especially for my kids.
Yeah.
6 and 8 year olds, man. Talk about those emotions.
Well, my youngest is great.
Yes, yeah.
She can slam a door better than anybody.
So, how did your name of your company come around?
That is a great question. So I was trying to think of a name for the company, and my wife actually came up with it.
Was she watching in the channel?
No, she wasn't. But I told her, I said, I want something that expresses that what we're doing is authentic, and that we're genuine, that we genuinely care. And a lot of people, when they think Hallmark, they think of the channel, or they think of Hallmark cards. But a Hallmark is actually a stamp of authenticity on a metal, on a silver or gold object. And that Hallmark is a stamp of authenticity. And she actually came up with that. So that's why I picked Hallmark, because it is a stamp of authenticity.
I did not know that. Thank you for educating me.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
I just thought about the channel, like you said, the channel, and then the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Hallmark, does, I mean, it means something like that. You may not know exactly that. I mean, it's just, you think of Hallmark means great, good.
Well, you've heard it used in sentences like that is the hallmark of a great.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hallmark that's a standard.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and this may be too much like the other question, but how would you describe your brand?
Oh, wow, that's a good question. We're actually working on that right now.
Oh, you put a business plan together. Didn't you get your motto down?
Real estate the right way.
There we go.
Yeah. I would put it that way. Our brand is you can be comfortable with us. You know that we're going to take care of you and your needs and hopefully meet all of your wants. It's difficult a lot of times. Sometimes the budget doesn't meet the expectation,
Right.
But we can help you also figure that out. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Hey, you're just doing real estate the right way.
That's what I say.
Yep.
That's right.
See, works all out.
Yeah.
And if somebody wanted to get a hold of you, what is the best way to get a hold of you for any real estate needs?
The best way to do it is call or text 317-716-0137, 317-716-0137, or you can email me at mark.gill@hallmarkres.com. That's mark.gill@hallmarkres.com.
And that's for anybody with any real estate needs. It would also, if somebody's looking at they want to get into real estate.
That's right. If you're looking for a team to join, I am looking to add a couple of more agents in the next year or so. So I'd love to talk to you. See if you're a good fit.
What's your location? Where are you at?
We're at 135 in Main Street in Greenwood at the Berkshire Hathaway office there.
Okay, awesome. And then also, if they want to become a big brother.
Yeah, if they want to become a big brother, give me a call too. I can put you in touch with the people who can get you started with that.
Yeah, I think that's phenomenal. And if you need to get a hold of Ian or I, it's hardworkingmortgageguys.com. That's hardworkingmortgageguys.com, or you can call 317-672-1938. That's 317-672-1938.
And remember to subscribe to Indy's Real Estate Gurus. And also, if you know any friends, family, or coworkers looking to buy, sell, or refinance, contact Rick or I. We'll be more than happy to help them.
And follow us for more Indy's Real Estate Gurus.
Branch NMLS number 33041. Rick Ripma's NMLS number 664589. Ian Arnold's NMLS number is 1995469. Equal housing opportunity. Some restrictions apply.